Welcome to the channel. In this video, we're going to talk a little bit about CleanSpark and Bitcoin. We're going to talk about the daily chart, the weekly chart. We'll also take a look at the open options interest for CleanSpark, not for Bitcoin though. And then we'll talk about price targets on both of them, talk about when I'm going to add, when I'm going to trim. We'll have a quick look at some news. I don't think there's too much news out whilst I was away, so we'll talk about some other topics if there's no news available, and we'll take a quick look at what's coming up on the macro calendar. Other than that, you can check out my live portfolio over on eToro. The link for that is in the description down below. I'm just going to check up my portfolio progress for year to date here. Jumping straight in, CleanSpark. I know I was supposed to put the video out yesterday, but there's so much going on. But CleanSpark is pumping. Bitcoin is making its move up, and it is up again pre-market. It does look like it wants to fill this gap back here, right up to this red line. I would love that. That gets us a nice move above the bull market band and this little volume shelf down here. If we could turn that into support, that would be amazing to have that as a launch pad to move up through this much larger air gap right up to this kind of $16.47 area. Now that does work in our favor. My expectation is kind of at least $20 by year end for this one. I know that's quite a large move if we measure it. $20. It's about 58%, give or take a few. But, that's impressive. I have been kind of trimming and adding in this area. I was expecting a bit more of a pullback, but price has been really strong, actually. So I've added a little bit back and price has started to move up, which my initial plan was to trim a bit more out at the kind of 1350 area. Now, I don't think I'm going to do that. I'm very happy with my weighting in this one. I'm probably not going to make too many changes to this unless Bitcoin does something crazy. But we'll have to wait and see. Obviously, all the bulls are coming out now. They're all going crazy. Talk about this all the time. This stock is going to move as a leverage play for Bitcoin. So when Bitcoin starts moving up, this one's going to be a 2 to 3x at least move for that one, but it also works to the downside. If Bitcoin's going to pull back, then this one's going to pull back harder, which shakes a lot of people out and just makes the whole situation a little bit worse. But technical wise, we've talked about the levels to look above, the levels below. Obviously, we've got this volume shelf here at 929. Sorry, I've got a light in my face. Can't read the edge of my screen there. But the RSI on the daily looking pretty good. There's room for us to pop. Like I said, if we can use that energy to make a new base there, that would make me super happy. But more excitingly, the MACDX Plus, we have got a golden cross incoming on that one. I would love to see that confirm. And on the flow indicator, we've had the 3 bars. We always talk about the 3 bars being a very bullish signal if you're patient. And then flow has popped, so we've been rewarded quite quickly for that. We did add quite a bit to our position down here as well in this chart. It was a great entry. But long term on this one, because this is driven by the underlying asset, Bitcoin, whatever Bitcoin does, this is going to, match price with that. So for me, my target for Bitcoin is still 124k to 250. That's going to narrow down as we ride up in the cycle. But if Bitcoin gets to over 100k, I would expect this to be over $50. We'll wait and see. Any price target over that is quite bullish for me, so I don't think there's any point in saying that. But just because my price target expected to be that doesn't mean I'm going to hold it until then. If we look at the chart, slide it up for you. This orange Fibonacci level here, that's going to be a very good level for me to take out a good portion of my position and de-risk into that one. But if we pull it up a little bit, we've got measured moves completing here again, probably take some risk off at 36. I think I'm mostly going to be out of my position when we go up to this 40 range, because that is a very large move. I think if I can just put a little slider on there for you. Sorry, I need to zoom out a little bit here. Roughly just getting us up to that 44 kind of dollar area is a 242% move. So I'm not too worried about timing any tops or bottoms. I want to get the meat of a move and I want to get out. That's how I trade. That's how I like to do it. Layering in, layering out. We can always trade around in the middle as well to squeeze out some extra gains. Moving on to the open options interest for the rest of this week. The measured move's quite nice. Gets us a nice kind of rough area to just under $14, which we can see there. There's not much resistance. However, we do have some good resistance at $13. Now, price is really starting to push up against that in the pre-market. So if we move above that and invalidate that, that's a great sign. People are going to want to stay in the money for that one. There's a lot of confidence building around this one. I don't know why it puts those silly lines on there. I don't agree with the levels that they pick out for this tool. I don't use the indicators built into this tool. I just use it as a data source. The tool is called tradevision.io. It is a paid tool, so I'm not affiliated with them in any way. It's just what I use. They're a pretty good data source, and it's one of the cheaper ones I've managed to find. Let's move out to the week after. We can see the market's starting to get a little bit excited. Measured move is, quite large. The expected move, not measured move. It's over $15. That's well on the way to hitting, moving up to the $20 target we've got for year end. So the expectation is that Bitcoin is going to continue to move upwards. We've got a very nice support here at 16, resistance at $16. Very little in the way of downside support, which might not necessarily be a great thing. If we do make a move down, there's not much to hold us up, but it does mean people really aren't paying attention to any downside moves. Maybe there's a little bit of hedging going on here. And let's push it out again another week. Again, we're starting to get quite bullish on this one. Let's have a look, see where the top of this tops out at. It's not even near the year end, and people are already picking out some strikes in the higher numbers. So just out of curiosity, I'm going to look at January 2025, see what they're looking at. So quite a few people in agreement with me, it seems, especially with the bigger funds, but also these strikes are getting quite high. Maybe I'm not quite as bullish as some people, but I seem to be in line with most of the market, the larger funds and the bigger investors on this one. On to CleanSpark news. There's not too much out there at the moment for CleanSpark going on. I did make a mistake with the date of the meeting for the dilution vote. I thought it was going to be closer to earnings or within the earnings, so apologies for that. But it did get approved, and the well didn't end. The stock didn't crash, so it was kind of timed very well with Bitcoin moving up. Which was nice to see, given the downward move we had on the news announcement. I thought we'd see more of a sell-off when this passed. I've had a few people ask me what I think about the dilution. I've made a post on my website, thecraftytrader.com, about this and talked about it a bunch of times. Cliff Notes version, I'm not concerned. All of the miners do it, and CleanSpark's been the one that has managed to, use that cash when they have diluted very accretively, very positively for their business. So not concerned about it. I think during this bull market, they're going to have a lot of cash on hand from Bitcoin going up. And another thing I wanted to talk about as well is when we start to see the top of the cycle, this company is going to be a really good one to watch. Look at their monthly report. If they start selling coins, that's probably getting very close to your top signal. Historically, they've been very good at timing that, and so start getting out by then. Other than that, though, I just wanted to touch a little bit on some of the other miners that I'm holding. Cypher, I've been mostly trading out of that one. We did pick up a little bit extra on the backfill for the gap, and then we've started exiting that one. I'm nearly all out of it, but not quite. I think I've got a couple of percent left in there. I'm starting to consolidate my miner positions more into just CleanSpark and maybe another one. I think Iron I quite like as well. But for me, it's not because I think CleanSpark's going to have the most gains. For me, it's just the better risk reward. The company is managed a lot better, a lot more efficiently. And that's probably the reason why with MicroStrategy, I've been swing trading that mostly. I haven't kind of just held. I think they're going to do very well, but as a company that just kind of buys something and holds it and waits for it to go up in value, I don't like the risk reward from a psychological point on that one. I think that's it for news though on that one. Taking a quick look at what Bitcoin is doing. Everyone's getting excited about this. Everyone's posting about it. Everyone's bullish. Yes, it is a good looking chart though. We've had this absolutely beautiful back test on with the volume shelf here on the purple line, and a great move up. Now, I don't want to rain on anyone's parade, but let's just put our thinking hats on for a minute. There's quite a lot of resistance up at this level. We've attempted 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times. Generally, that means that the more it touches, you're going to push over that. But we are also getting quite spicy on the RSI down here. Volume has been falling, and flows are kind of just idle. We are triggering a couple of overbought alerts on the MACDX Plus. So from a technical perspective, the chart's telling us we probably need to calm down for a second before we make a move up. In my mind, we either get a push straight up to this low 70s level, or we pull back. But either way, there's going to be some kind of chop at one of these levels before we push higher and go blue sky on that. So that's something to bear in mind. Don't be too shocked if we do have a little pullback now, but also don't be too shocked if we push up with quite a large move. Price has moved up a lot from the lows right down here. 43% for Bitcoin in 84 trading days. That's pretty good. I'd want to rest after running that hard. But on the bright side, if we do have a back test, a pullback at that low 70s range, that does look like a really nice kind of cup and handle pattern that we'll be getting there. Either way you look at it, it's still bullish, but maybe just don't get too excited right now and start asking for the moon, because I don't think the moon move's going to come until we make that new high. That's when we're going to get a lot of FOMO and parabola, if that's the word, when people are going to get super excited. That said, any pullbacks in the miners and the proxies are going to be great if we do get a slight cooling in Bitcoin. And also, if you're into DeFi like I am, there's plenty of opportunity there right now, but it is a high risk, high reward environment. Just want to make that perfectly clear. Moving on to the recent economic data. Yesterday, there wasn't much out. We had the Fed manufacturing index that was a little bit lower than expected. We talk about it all the time on this channel. Manufacturing's not the hotbed that it used to be for the US, so most of that's been in contraction for a while. Maybe that changes in the future, but for right now, it's not really driving things. So there's no service data out yesterday. So not too much. The rest of it was just bill auctions, nothing really exciting. Today, though, a little bit more exciting. We've got the goods trade balance, something I don't particularly focus on. Retail inventories, they can be a good indicator if there's issue. If inventories start to stock up, that can be bad, but things look pretty good. So if those come in line, then there's not much of a concern. Redbook year over year has been pretty good lately. The house data, again, that's not something that's going to be particularly good lately. Rates are coming down, but that doesn't mean people will be encouraged to start moving and refinancing just yet. There's always going to be a bit of a lag as people have the expectation that rates will continue to come down. I've got a whole thesis on housing in America that I've started to add to some positions relating to that. So if you want to check out my portfolio on eToro, you can do so. Other than that, though, we've got the JOLTS job openings. That's going to be a big one for the market. The market is very attentive to these jobs numbers. A lot of them are probably a bit bogus, a bit manipulated with seasonal adjustments and, government jobs, but the market listens to them, so we have to too. Consumer confidence is going to be a good one. That's been quite good lately. More jobs data with the job quits. We do have some services data as well today, which is nice. The services index has been low, not ideal, but the expectation is probably quite bad as well. The services revenue is probably a little bit more important, and that's been doing quite well, and it's expected to continue. So hopefully that works out. So basically, looking at the jobs data and the services data mainly on this one today. Other than that, though, we do have two very important earnings this morning. We've got SoFi and PayPal, which are in my top 3 positions for weightings. Very excited. I'm going to be listening to the PayPal one, and I'll update that on my website and eToro. Apologies for the slightly lagging video today. The audio came out fine, but for some reason, when I went back and I looked at my recordings, they had a lot of lagging. We'll try and improve on that on tomorrow's video. But for the meantime, give this video a like, share with your buddies, your grandma, your uncle, your dog, whoever, and subscribe to the channel. And I will see you tomorrow for Tesla Tuesday.